what SOPs have been impacted by your use of AI? Really, the opposite way is to go to consultants and start asking them, hey, what could I do? And that's just going to be expensive. Like, no joke. You're going to spend money on a bunch of consultants to tell you what you're already doing. And so I think it's better to go from your current SOP, how AI has started to impact those SOPs, and then start looking at, well, what data do we need to have come into this thing to actually make it smarter?
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Big Hitters. I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Ben Johnson, who is kind of, in my mind, a mad scientist in a good way. He has had multiple exits. He is a developer and he is doing some amazing things with AI and automations. And so I'm really excited to dive in with him. Ben, let's start with this. Tell us a story. How did we get to where we are today?
Man, I made my first dollar as a human being on a paper route. Loved being entrepreneurial at a young age. Had early success with some computer venture in college. I don't know if you ever bought a George Foreman grill, but you get a product registration form in that in those appliances. And so back in we're talking like 99, I built a little tool to generate those product registration forms, and I ended up selling it to Experian.
No big deal. Okay, that was exit number one. What else you got?
And I did a venture in travel that was really cool. We grew an online travel company to 70 million in travel. Um, and that was, interacting with legacy mainframe travel systems. It was the real deal. We built air, car, hotel, vacationing cruise, all of that online software.
Mm. Now, and so you have Protocol 41 amongst other things right now. What is the focus of your current business that you work
So in all the ventures, there was this common component of from the boardroom to the code review. So from technical co-founder through to the technical execution team, and all of the areas that execution teams needs to cover, like design, actual development, QA, putting it in the cloud in a scalable way, and then being able to ingest all the data that you're producing and understand it better. So I built these systems for about five different companies, and the team that's with me at Particle 41 is the team I've amassed all along the way. Basically, Particle 41 became the brand of what I was repeating for multiple companies in different industries.
with? So I know that you and I have talked about this a lot with some of the companies that you've worked with, and there seems to be um a lot of work around creating like I'm going to explain it in the way that my dumbed down mind understands it, but like an internal chat gpt for companies. And I remember we talked at a Rise Up Kings event. You said every company wants a rag, is going to need a rag. So walk us through what that is and what's the process of developing one of those.
Yeah, so a RAG is is a concept of data. It stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And so what it says is I'm going to take my proprietary data, the data that's unique to my business, whatever that might be. So if you're an e-commerce company, that might be all your products and all the information around your products, maybe all the reviews about your products. And you may ingest that into a RAG so that now customers can interact with not only the LLM, but that data. So think of a RAG as a data sidecar to your chatbot and your LLM type of communication. But a RAG is a contextually organized database of your proprietary data.
Okay, so if let's say I have $100 million logistics company, right? Um, and I run on Microsoft, right? So they have their Copilot thing. Why would I why would I work with a Particle 41 to build a rag for my company when we have something like Copilot?
Yeah, so it is still it's still not plug and play, drag and drop. It is complex. You are looking at the data you have across your, if to use your Microsoft analogy, you'd be looking at all the data that you have across SharePoint, all the data you have in your respective application databases, and you'd be trying to create a data pipeline that made all of that data available to Copilot. And then you're looking for use cases that need to be solved today. So um, we are walking customers through a process with AI that I called the medallion process. It's basically, you've probably given your employees chat gpt, and they're going grabbing spreadsheets and shoving them into gpt to try to get emails to go out to customers or whatever actions, right, that they're trying to take. Maybe there's a couple of other applications in your enterprise, and it's all just making people faster. And I call that bronze. That's kind of the Wild West, because you don't really even know what people are putting in the AI tools and what they're getting out. You're just letting them run wild. And then at some point, the business goes to silver, where they're saying, hey, we need to put some of this stuff in a workflow. That's where I think Copilot is really great. The Copilot Studio is a great place to start putting some workflows together and say, hey, I want to repeatably go look at this set of documents and ask these sets of questions. You can even test it in there, and that's all fine. But silver also often involves some form of traditional programming. I'm going to get data from here. I'm going to put it into the Copilot, and then I'm going to go do some stuff with it. And that's where we still add a lot of value, is first establishing that whole plan to move from bronze to silver, but then building all of the kind of, call it connective tissue, that puts these value added services all together.
Do you find there's kind of breakpoints in revenue where those types of situations make sense? Like maybe a bronze client is someone up to like 5 million in revenue, and then beyond 5 million, you're doing silver. Like what would you say on that front?
No, because I'm even seeing agencies go like, "Uh-oh, we just gave our team a bunch of stuff. We want to actually start nailing down some production workflows with this stuff that we can monitor and see, okay, well, what's going in and what's coming out." And they want to get to a little more narrow fixed solution that's super dependable. So they're going to want to go. So at any revenue, if you know what you're doing, you have a process in mind, and you want to start to workflow that, that's moving from bronze to silver for at least some select group of use cases.
What's what's a good potential step for me to determine what my company might need? Like let's say there's business owners listening to this. Like
Yeah. So
how do I know what to do?
yep. So my process is usually to go to your team that you've now given ChatGPT or Claude to, and say, okay, what steps are you repeating? What SOPs have been impacted by your use of AI? And start at that SOP level. Really, the opposite way is to go to consultants and start asking them, hey, what could I do? And that's just going to be expensive, like no joke. You're going to spend money on a bunch of consultants to tell you what you're already doing. And so I think it's better to go from your current SOP, how AI has started to impact those SOPs, because your employees are naturally starting to use them to become more efficient, and then start looking at, well, what data do we need to have come into this thing to actually make it smarter? What kind of decisions are the humans making in the process? And we help people break that down so they can just take at least some subset of work. An example for us, being an agency ourselves in a way, uh, was the recruiting process. So when we hire in offshore market, we get 500 applications a week. Like there's just no possible way we can screen all of those resumes. So we created an AI integration to screen our resumes. We subscribed to a assessment tool that assesses. We have an assessment that we can build in an AI enabled. It's called CoderByte, and it's an AI assessment generator, and it knows if people are like shifting out of it, or not just answering the questions based on their own experience. Um, and so we get an assessment, a resume analyzer score, which is an AI tool, and then we get an assessment score. And then only if they
So you
qualify.
you have an AI to detect if someone's using AI when they're doing their coding.
That's right. That's right.
That's great.
Yeah, CoderByte has AI built in that essentially ensures that they're not jumping out of the browser, that they're not, copying some answer. They're having to write, some code there live in the assessment, and we want to make sure they're doing that with integrity.
Mm, that's good. It reminds me, I had a college financial planning practice and people writing, their essays with AI, and the university's paying globs of money for an AI to detect if it was AI. It's just,
Yeah, there was even at one point the kids were using like an AI to add grammatical incorrections into their essay so that the AI checker wouldn't be able to. Yeah, yeah,
um,
for real.
okay, what did I want to talk to you about next? Oh, I wanted to see like what's the end result. Okay, going back to the rag thing really quickly. A company implements something like that. What kinds of process improvement or ways could that be helpful for their business?
So at the silver level, if you're integrating all the data with it, you're doing that to get to like the next tier, which is gold. And gold is an agentic solution. You hear this word agentic, um, where you've created a bot that is the role. So think of like a first tier customer support. You've trained something so well, you've gotten it enough data, it can see order status inside your business. It has enough of that silver level integration where now you can just let it go on a particular role and function. That's what people are trying to get to. That's that kind of final output. But I really feel like businesses need to go through that journey. They can't just go target the agentic solution. Um, I don't think they should just go target. I think you should aim small, miss small if you're growing as a smaller business.
Yeah. When you look, because you're probably, have a better pulse on what's going on with AI than maybe most out there. When you look at industries maybe that are most prone to not being replaced, but being transformed by AI, like one or two or three that really stand out to you.
I don't know about replace. I mean, of course, I have those fearful thoughts at times on the programming process. Like we're programmers. But what we're seeing is that it's a great assistant. But if you ask it to do big things, and I'm seeing that across the board, where if you demand a high quality output, um, AI is still a very wide tool for a very narrow result.
Mm,
And so I do think roles that are just primarily, I look at, my sons are 22 and 19. And I look at the way that a new person would approach going into a market. And if you think that the entry level of that market is disappearing, so the earlier stages of every market is going to vaporize, which is going to leave our young people in a really like they're going to have to make a shift. They're going to have to make a shift to going and playing around in that automated tier, like the stuff that the AI can do. They have to like have a full understanding of that, plus the strategy around it, like the next level up of knowledge and expertise. Otherwise, they're going to have a tremendous problem finding value in a AI enabled work culture.
that's a really good point, man. I feel like every time I talk to you, I get some sort of nugget like that. But I've had 3 or 4 conversations the last 2 weeks where I've talked to a bookkeeper and he was in Alabama, and he's like, I'm not hiring another bookkeeper, to balance books and stuff. Like, I'm gonna grow my company and just use my existing staff. I want to grow my client base and automate what we can with AI. And I think that's pretty much what he was saying. It's like no more entry level bookkeepers for me. Like I can do a lot of that with AI.
Yeah. So I think people will have to strategize their careers differently. That there's just yeah, there's a competition for somebody who understands the work underneath it, the strategy behind it, and that'll happen in software engineering too. The folks that understand why we build things a certain way will be able to guide the increased efficiency we're getting smartly.
What are some sticking points you guys feel like you have in your business? What are some problems you're trying to solve or barriers you're trying to overcome?
Um, we're always trying to figure out. how to build relationships and like how to solve speed to trust. So how do you do that in a cost effective way? Like I love spending, a good amount of time with clients that are considering what to build and how to structure their team. And I guess I'm kind of dancing around it, but the SDR, the automated SDRs are flaming up everybody. So how do we build, good quality relationships? So we're I have a podcast as well, the Particle Accelerator, and we're kind of using that to just start the conversation and ensure that there's a way out there, speed to trust. So I think good social advisory content is still going to be king, but I think we just need to all turn off our SDR lead gen robots. I think that's a just an area fraught with peril.
Wait a second. You have a podcast that's leading you to potential business? That's crazy. I didn't know anything about this. That's awesome.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot, and yeah, as you started having that idea, I was really into it. It's yeah, it's just great to build relationships by promoting the guest. Like we love promoting the guest. We put money behind it on YouTube. We just like promoting the guest is our goal, not likes and follows. And not really a promotional. We could do a better job, I think, of promoting ourselves surrounding the podcast. But right now, we're just focused on promotion of the guests.
Mm, that's good. Let's talk about something that you want to talk about. What's one thing that we haven't talked about today that just fires you up or gets you excited?
Um, well, okay. So my son and I, we went to DEFCON 33. So it's the world's biggest hacking conference, and I think there's a lot of uh, people could have misconceived notions. Um, it was a conference for problem solving. So imagine a football field. It was divided into rooms, but a football field that's divided into rooms across the Las Vegas Convention Center, and in every room is a row of tables and plugs. Like sit down, get your laptop out. We're problem solving here, and each room was presenting their unique problem solving challenges. Dude, there was like an area of DEF CON where you could plug into a um the black box of an airplane while another dude was playing flight simulator, and you could send messages to the flight controller while he's having to like, so you could knock out GPS off your laptop against this flight controller. You could hack it, knock out GPS, and watch this guy try to fly. So the flight simulator was generating data that was going into the flight controller that made it look like to the hacker a real flight. And that was just one little mini display. There was we got to practice air traffic control, even though there were ghosts in the radar feed.
Hmm.
We got to see live game hacking, people trying to manipulate different video games.
Hmm.
Vivian volunteered not only a car, but but numerous copies of the Rivian control system, and you had wires already ready for you. You could just plug right into the Rivian control system.
Hmm.
So the whole conference was a series of just different hacks, and every little room had their own CTF, or capture the flag challenge, that was organized along with their kind of subject matter. So you could, like, a capture the flag in the IoT space is that there were flags hiding in different IoT devices. And as you started hacking the different devices, you would win more and more flags. And so everything was kind of gamified, and it was really, really, really cool. I went with my 19-year-old cybersecurity student, and we just got involved in some different CTF hacking challenges, and used ChatGPT to educate us into from novice to at least hanging. I think I scored like 50 points on one of the capture the flags.
Sounds like an event where I would have been like, what the heck am I even watching? I would have no idea what's going on.
It felt that way to us as well, just because folks were getting really focused on their problems. They were totally down to talk, but everybody, pretty quickly in the first day of the conference started to establish what they wanted to work on. And then between people socializing, and it was just it was a hacking conference, but it was very approachable. There was certainly a lot of stuff for like novices, but you had to want to like get involved and start grinding on something for it to be like for you to feel like you're part of the conference.
Yeah. I have one final question for you. I'm curious. Everyone seems to be familiar with ChatGPT, but you develop AI tools. So, which of the large language models do you prefer and why?
So I'm really into Claude. But we're also functioning at sometimes we're functioning at an SLM model, or an SLLM model, a specialized language model. Because if we're figuring out a specific problem, like one problem that we're looking at is instant 360 cameras that are driving through neighborhoods. How do we recognize different frames from the video capture that could be violations or problems for the community? So that's just going to be a different language model. So there are lots of language models, but to answer your question, my favorite is Claude.
Hmm. That's awesome. Ben, if people want to learn more about who you are and what you do, where can they go?
Yeah, go to particle41.com. I'd send you my LinkedIn, but I have a common name, which is a bit of a curse. So go to particle41.com. I have a Let's Talk link on my homepage that comes directly to my Calendly. So if you come to my homepage, you can book an appointment with me, and that's particle41.com.
And I'll just give a shout out to Ben and his team. He's awesome to work with. And in fact, a lot of times, if I come across a larger company that I think needs something custom, he's what I call the big guns, and I bring him in for a convo. So, highly recommend you guys reach out to him. And he is an absolute rock star. So, thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Appreciate you having me.